The most popular girl from my high school is getting married. She invites everyone in our class to the wedding. I want to act like I don't see the message, but she deliberately tags me in the group chat. You kept pretending to be a rich girl like me in high school, but I don't hold it against you. In fact, I'll allow you to attend my wedding tomorrow to see what the rich life is like. The other classmates speak up. You're so generous, Haley. It's no wonder you can marry someone from the Bomber family. I can't believe you can even forgive someone as materialistic as Emma. Does someone like Emma Larkin even deserve to attend Haley's wedding? She's so full of herself. As the insults become worse, Haley Stockwell steps forward to keep the peace. Come on, let's put this behind us. I'm not bothered by these things since it's been so long anyway. Let's not bear a grudge against Emma when she's already so poor and ugly. Everyone in the group chat starts singing her praises and calling her kind and innocent. I sneer. Haley is the one who kept pretending to be rich. I'm the true heiress from an affluent family. Yet she made me out to be a liar. She turned me into the target of everyone's insults. Check the digital wedding invitation to see that the venue is my villa. The groom looks familiar. Isn't he my husband's driver? I smile at the thought of what's going to happen. I reply, sure, I have to attend your wedding. Oh my God, is Miss Vane Emma Larkin coming to the wedding tomorrow for real? Remember how she lied about her dad making a donation for a new academic building? And how she claimed to be the daughter of a tycoon? I tried to copy Haley Stockwell. How does she even have the nerve to show up? True, Haley was too kind to call her out back then. If it were me, I would have made her beg for forgiveness and transfer schools. Our class group chat erupted into chaos once my attendance at Haley's wedding was confirmed. They pointed fingers at me, just like they did in high school, accusing me of being a poor girl who faked my status. In their eyes, Haley was the real deal. In the past, I had kept a low profile and spent most of my time on my studies. I did not dress up or make friends, and I looked just like a nerd. In contrast, Haley was youthful and eye-catching. She was familiar with the high society lifestyle, which misled everyone into thinking she was the daughter of a tycoon. That was why they sneered at me the way they did in the group chat. I snickered coldly while wondering if their attitudes would change once they saw me at the wedding. Haley's wedding was hosted at a villa the next day to flaunt her status. She spent a fortune to make the venue look extra grand. The empty villa had been adorned with exquisite decorations. Staring at my villa, which had undergone massive changes, I pulled out my phone to ask the butler about it. At that moment, I spotted Haley's lackeys surrounding her in the main hall. They were fawning over her. Haley, your wedding is grand. The villa is so spacious. And your wedding dress looks expensive. I assume your husband is loaded? Of course he is. Haley is marrying the CEO of Novolux Group. He's the cream of the crop. Did you know he pulls in an annual salary of a few $1,000,000? He's hot and rich. How I envy Haley. She grew up a princess and found herself a prince. My classmates gushed about Haley, who looked smug from hearing all the praises. I was surprised to hear Haley introduce my husband's company, the Novolux Group, as her husband's. With a hint of mockery, I taunted her. If your husband is that rich, why would he borrow someone else's villa for the wedding? My words cut through the air, drawing the attention of Haley and her clique. Smiles vanished and were replaced by sour expressions. With their arms crossed, they sneered back at me. Emma Larkin, can't believe you actually had the audacity to show up. Have you no shame? Besides, the villa belongs to the family of Haley's husband. Why are you being snarky? Jealous much? Hey, Miss Vane, where did you get your hands on that counterfeit Hermes bag? That logo looks damn fake. When are you going to change that vain habit of yours? They jeered at me, just like they once did in school. I snickered quietly. Back when I was in school, Dad made donations for a few academic buildings. Those contributions, along with my stellar grades, had secured me a guaranteed spot at a top university. Before I even tipped the sats, however, Haley suddenly struck and slandered me. She accused me of impersonating her. Crying, she pitifully showed photos of my villa, including the pool, the private theatre, and my dad's collection of sports cars in the garage. She even produced a photo of herself standing next to my dad to make her lies more convincing. The school turned on me when the photos were released. I became the poor girl who pretended to be a tycoon's daughter, and my guaranteed university admission was revoked. First, I had wanted to call Dad to clear my name, but he had to undergo urgent surgery for a heart attack. To avoid further stressing him out, I kept the happenings at school a secret. Thankfully, Dad's surgery was a success. At the same time, I had received an offer from a prestigious school abroad, where I met my now husband, Thomas Seigel. After Thomas and I were married, we went back to the country, only for me to discover that Haley hadn't stopped her charade. In my absence, she had not only continued pretending to be me, but had also taken over my house, this very villa. I had wanted to reveal the real owner of the villa, the Seigel family, but Haley had already lunged at me and slapped me in the face. I'm a Larkin. You owed me this from 10 years ago. I'm settling the score now. Never had I thought Haley would lay a hand on me. Caught off guard, I stumbled and fell. My cheek was burning red and swollen. I was utterly humiliated. How dare you hit me? I growled. What's to stop me? Back in school, you impersonated me, saying you were the rich daughter of a tycoon. Now you're spreading rumors that my husband doesn't own this villa. You're asking for trouble. Haley was seething with rage. Her face was twisted as she stormed up to me. Greeting her teeth, she threatened me. Do you have any idea who my husband is? He's Joe Bomber, the CEO of Novolux Group. What makes you think you have the right to question him? At her words, a few of her lackeys sneered at me with disdain. Did you hear that? Haley's husband is Joe Bomber, the CEO of Novolux Group? That company is worth billions. Only a rich girl like Haley could marry into such a powerful family. Not some pathetic liar like you. Emma! Emma, you shameless fibber. You impersonated Haley in school, and you're now spreading lies about Haley at her wedding. I apologize to Haley right now for looking down on her. Or don't blame us for getting rough with you. Don't waste time with this lowlife, Emma. You've crossed the future wife of the Novolux Group CEO. Girls, let's teach her a lesson for Haley. With that, they charged at me. They yanked my hair and slapped me across the face. The sting from the slap was immediate. I was stunned, but they weren't done. They shoved me to the ground. They cursed me, kicked me, and tore at my clothes and bag. Pain coursed through my body, and my rage boiled over. I shouted, "Stop! This villa is mine! Get out!" Taken aback, they paused for a moment before bursting into laughter. Their voices dripped with mockery. Looks like Miss Vane is acting up again. This time, she's not pretending to be a rich girl, but she's claiming to own the villa. Ha 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 ha, it's ridiculous. How can someone be so shameless? She's a compulsive liar. She's spitting out such ridiculous nonsense. Haley's face twisted with even more disdain. You really don't know when to call it quits, do you? I was being kind to you in high school when I ignored your attempts to assume my identity. Now, you're here to ruin my wedding. I won't play nice if you upset me today. She lunged at me. Her sharp nails raked across my face and body, leaving cuts that soon began to bleed. The group yanked off my jewelry and smashed it on the ground before ripping my clothes apart. In no time, my clothes were in tatters. I was almost fully exposed. Trembling with fury, I pulled out my phone to call the police, but Haley kicked it out of my hand. I said through clenched teeth, "Enough! This villa is mine. If you don't believe me, get the butler to bring the property deed." They all froze for a moment. Just then, a car could be heard outside and someone shouted, "Haley, the butler is here." Haley's face changed, and I let out a sigh of relief. Finally, someone could prove my identity. Just as I was about to call for the butler, John Kaminsky, I saw him approach Haley. A broad smile appeared on his face as he eagerly handed over a set of keys. "Mrs. Bomber, you look so beautiful today. These keys are from Mr. Bomber. He asked me to give them to you." Haley's face beamed with pride as she took the keys. Then she pointed at me. "John, you've come just in time. This mad woman keeps claiming she owns my villa. Please tell everyone whose villa this really is." "That's nonsense. This villa belongs to Mr. Bomber." John grinned obsequiously, practically licking Haley's boots as he spoke. As soon as the words had left my mouth, everyone looked at me with even more disdain. Some even spat at me. Fury rose within me. Ignoring the blood dripping down my face, I gritted my teeth and glared at the butler while shouting, "I don't care who paid you to spread these lies, but this villa belongs to the Siegel family. My husband, Thomas Siegel, is the rightful owner. How dare you show up uninvited to throw a wedding and then lay your hands on me? If my husband finds out, you won't get away with this." As I shouted in anger, Haley burst into laughter. Her voice cut through the air. "Ha ha ha ha. You say you're Thomas Siegel's wife? Who is that man? I've never heard of him." "He's probably some poor beggar." "Of course. A lonely woman like you only deserves to be with a beggar. You're causing a scene at my wedding and ruining my mood. If I don't teach you a lesson, you'll never learn. Girls, get her." At her command, her lackeys rushed at me like animals. She tore at my clothes, snatched my Hermes bag, and destroyed it with scissors, all the while mocking me for carrying such a convincing counterfeit. Guests who had begun to arrive in the villa started pulling out their phones to capture the fight. Haley worried that her actions would damage her image as Mrs. Bomber, so she ordered her lackeys to drag me into the restroom. Ignoring my screams, they shoved my head into the toilet bowl. The stench and the suffocating feeling almost killed me. In that desperate moment, I summoned all my strength to shove Haley away and bolted out of the restroom. I raced toward the exit of the villa. Haley, whom I had knocked to the ground, screamed, "Hurry! Grab that woman and bring her back!" My clothes were shredded into rags, and I was a total mess. But my car was parked right outside the villa. I would be safe if I could just get to it. I clung to that hope as I ran toward the car. Just as I reached the door, they caught me. They slapped me in the face once more. "How dare you run away? Oh, do you have a car? Let's see who you're sleeping with to afford that car. Well, no wonder you're so slutty. Turns out you're just a whore who sleeps with old men for money. Girls, smash her car. Whoa, is this a top-tier BMW? Emma, looks like your body is worth quite a lot. No wonder you could show up to Haley's wedding to make a scene. Guess what? We'll ruin your career. They grabbed some stones and began to cut me on the skin. Soon my body was filled with bloodied scrapes as I screamed in pain. But my agony did not satisfy them. They picked up some huge stones and flung them at my car, shattering the windows. They rummaged through my belongings inside the car while cursing loudly. This slut isn't even using cheap stuff. Her silk scarf is a limited edition. Looks like her sugar daddy is rich. And all these sexy nightgowns in the trunk. She must have used them to seduce some old bugger. Let's burn them all. Wow, let's burn it down. This is so satisfying. They set fire to my belongings. The flames leapt toward me as I lay on the ground, blooded and gasping for air. Haley, watching this, seemed utterly pleased. She smiled at her lackeys and said, "You guys are the best. Don't worry. Once I marry Joel, I'll introduce you to some of the managers from Novolux Group. You'll all get to feel what it's like to have a successful boyfriend." The lackeys cheered and rushed over to thank Haley. They nearly bowed at her feet. Just then, the groom finally arrived. Joel stepped out of the car. He saw the flames and frowned as he walked over. "What's going on? Why is there a fire?" Haley immediately rushed to him and said, "Don't worry, darling. She's just a vain, slutty woman trying to ruin our wedding. I've already taught her a lesson." "Who's trying to ruin our wedding?" Joel's face darkened as he wrapped his arm around Haley and coldly huffed. "I'll need to take a look at the woman who has the guts to do so." He marched straight toward me, grabbed my hair, and yanked me up. My blooded face made me almost unrecognizable, and Joel's eyes briefly flashed with disgust. Just as he was about to throw me aside, he suddenly froze, staring at me in shock. He stammered, "Mrs. Seagull." "Why? Why are you here?"